Well, howdy folks, and welcome back to the channel. I recently had a very good question from Eric over at the Skip Tracer channel. Eric asked, what is the restrictions on private investigators looking up information in databases? Is it that they just need to be hired to investigate something and then they have access to social security numbers and can run plates, etc.? Now, the databases Eric is talking about are the paid professional databases such as IRB, IDI, TLO, Clear, and others used by many different legal professionals. I use the term legal professional as they are not restricted to just private investigators. These databases are also used by skip tracers, for instance, or process servers, repo companies, debt collectors, judgment enforcement agencies, and other legal professionals. First, let's look at the qualifications to gain access to these databases. Now, I will take this on as an all-encompassing kind of generic approach, as each database company has their own processes, procedures, and regulations regarding who gets access and how they screen the users. First, you must fit into the database company's profile of acceptable businesses. Some database companies allow access to debt collectors, while some may not. Some may allow access to repo companies, while others do not. And just because they allow access does not mean they get access to everything. Here is a fairly extensive, although I am sure not complete, list of data that can be obtained from these database companies. Now again, they do not all provide the exact same data, nor do they get their data from the same sources. Thus, the need for having multiple databases at your disposal as a professional private investigator. Names, aliases, imposters, meaning people using the subject's information like a social security number. Associates, relatives, neighbors, and their contact information. Student information and student records. Addresses, current and past, and property records showing ownership and other property details. Phone records, not including call or text history. Rather, you are likely to get phone numbers and addresses associated with the phone number. Email addresses and utility information, but not utility usage, but usually just addresses and dates associated with the subject. Driver's licenses and other state identification information, along with motor vehicle registrations, current and historical. Watercraft and aircraft records like for boats and planes, and FAA certifications. Financial data such as bankruptcies, liens and judgments, foreclosures, and notices of defaults. Criminal records, sexual offenses, civil court records. Corporate and business affiliations, UCC filings, employment history. Professional licenses, DEA controlled substance licenses, hunting and fishing licenses. Weapon permits, firearm explosive licenses, voter registration info, social media accounts, and more. This is an extensive bit of information, to be sure. Now, I caution you, do not expect to get on with the database company and then run a comprehensive report on your subject and get all of this info in one nice, easy-to-read format. It will be in an easy-to-read format, but in most cases, you will get some, keyword some, of the data I mentioned. For instance, I have never seen Colorado driver's license information, but I have for other states. Each of the database companies provides differing amounts of data and has differing limitations from state to state. So when they say, for instance, they can get arrest or court records out of Colorado, that is not for all courts, to be sure. There are certain counties they can get that information from, and some they cannot. Now back to obtaining an account with these data companies. The first thing, you must qualify, or your business must qualify, for access depending on the type of business you run. Then you have to apply to them, and the application process is fairly stringent. Then they will conduct a background check to make sure you are legit and you can be trusted with the data. Then they will do an office audit. Yep, they come to your office and they audit it for security and to make sure you are doing what you say you do. So if you are a PI and you office at your kitchen table, I can guarantee you that you will have difficulty getting any data company to provide you access. Now, the limitations and regulations for data access is not all up to data companies either. There are many federal as well state and probably local laws that prohibit or limit access to certain types of data. For example, FCRA and GLBA come to mind. FCRA is the Fair Credit Reporting Act and GLBA is the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act. Both of these restrict what data can be provided when it comes to things like financial transactions such as loans, housing, and even employment. Once you are approved, you will get a login, and upon logging into the data company's website and running a query, you will have to provide your permissible uses. This can be for fraud protection or fiduciary representatives, compliance with federal, state, or local laws, and others as allowed by that database company. Some people may have access with several permissible uses to choose from, while some may have a more limited list or even just one. So back to Eric's question, what is the restrictions on private investigators looking up information in databases? Is it that they just need to be hired to investigate something and then they have access to social security numbers and run plates and stuff like that? The simple answer is it all depends. The more complicated answer is that it depends on a lot of different things that are pertinent to the person applying for access. And that is the national database companies. There are also plenty of state, county, and local databases you can access out there too that have other information and their own requirements to gain access. For instance, many counties here in Colorado have an online database to check for wants, warrants, and arrest information. But then there are some that require a personal request for that information, and some have computer access to that information at their courthouse. Then there are the municipal records. Most municipal records will not be in those huge database searches and probably not included in the county searches either. I am talking about things like speeding tickets issued by a city or other tickets like a dog at large or weed control violations, things like that. And then some states have easy open access to arrest and court data. For instance, here in Colorado, anyone can go to CBI and get arrest records, but these are not all-inclusive for all counties and cities, and they are arrest records only, not conviction records. Colorado also has easy access for anyone to get court records through courts, but this is limited to only the counties that participate, and even then, data can lag quite a bit in getting updated. The bottom line, no, it is not a free-for-all for private investigators when it comes to data access. They do have to have specific permissible uses to access and obtain the data. And those database companies are not the end-all, do-all to every investigation. Rather, they are the beginning for many good investigations. The data gathered from a database query provides you information to help move your investigation forward. Wait, one more thing. The data provided by any of those data companies, paid, free, state, county, all of them, are not the official records. If you need official records, you are going to have to go to that particular entity to obtain that official record. In other words, you can't run a comp report on someone, then present that data in a court of law and say, look, here, it says he lives there. It says he owns that house and drives this car. It would not be admissible in court. You would have to get official county records showing he owns the house, get official DMV records showing he owns the car, and probably do some surveillance or neighborhood canvassing to prove he lives at the house. Now, a big thanks to Eric over at the Skip Tracer channel for the shout out. Eric has some amazing videos showing in-depth usage of free data sites to gather intel on people. I will leave a link down below for his channel. And if you want to know about free database sites that actually work, then check out this video.